Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode. Today, as you can see, we are back outside the house and I'm not by myself talking to myself. We're with Tim Clark, the nutritionist of the house, but today we're not talking about nutrition for seat racing, we're talking about what seat racing actually is. But before we get into that, Tim, would you like to say anything?
Hello YouTubers!
So I rode with Tim for a lot of years, definitely in under 23s in 2013, and you were too old for 14.
Yeah, I was too old.
And then we rode in the 2016 Ladies Plate where we won but didn't win. But today we're talking about seat racing and what it actually is. So a lot of questions after yesterday's video about racing your friends. Anything you want to say about that, Tim?
Yeah, I think it can be some of the most stressful stuff in that kind of situation when you're racing your friends and your teammates.
Yeah.
But it is a very useful tool as well.
Yeah. That's what I said. So yesterday I spoke about just it being it's necessary to do, and then you say you've won or not won the race. It's like you're sorry, but you're not sorry.
Yeah.
But it's your friend, so you're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But today, what is seat racing? So what we've done, we've spent all morning after or afternoon after seat racing in the lab making a very complex contraption to help visualize seat racing itself. Tim was the mastermind behind this. So we're going to head into the lab.
Nutritional theme.
Indeed. Because remember, food is fuel. So we're going to head into the house and discuss what seat racing actually is. So let's get to it. And we have made it to the lab after a very, very long journey from outside to inside. But as you can see, we have some very complex contraptions here involving some tape and some tins of food or cans of food, or some may say cans of fuel. So we're going to be talking about seat racing and how it is done using these cans of soup and some tape. So what happens is, in this example, you have 8 athletes represented by the tins of beans and the tins of tomatoes. And then for a baseline run, the coaches decide who goes in the boats and the distance as well. The coaches decide what distances are. They're going to vary from sort of a K plus relay. Would you agree, Tim?
Yeah, normally about 1500.
Yeah, around 1500. And so we'll assume for today we're doing 1500 meter pieces. And so what happens is you do a baseline run. So we have the tomato boat and the bean boat going off at a blistering pace, and it looks like, oh my goodness, the bean boy is taking the lead. Oh, it's going, and oh my goodness, the bean boat took it by approximately 2 tins. And so what happens now, you have a little bit of a break, the coaches decide who switches, and then what, Tim?
They switch. So what we do is the 3 seats, these athletes, so this tin of beans and this tin of plum tomatoes, they will swap and then they'll do the same race and they'll time the difference between the boats and see who is the quicker athlete. So
let's switch these over.
The
tape it's been done very well, so this could be very difficult.
Hours of preparation.
There. So now the athletes have switched and you're back at the start line. You're lined up once again. You've got different 3 seats in each boat and they're off! The boats are racing, flying down the course, and this time it's much more even. Who knows what's going to happen by the end of this wooden table, and it looks like the opposite outcome. So the majority boat with tomato tins has taken it by 2 tins. So Tim, the other boat won by 2 tins. What does that mean?
That means that this athlete here,
the bean athlete,
the 3-seat baked beans has won
over Mr. Tin Tomato
by approximately 4 tins.
4 tins. And so that is the gist of the seat racing. So that just gets repeated and repeated. And as Tim and I were discussing, it's like taking a sledgehammer to crack a nut, because it's just one of those things where it's very effective, but it is brutal. As Tim is basically just taking words out of Tim's mouth at the moment. But so basically you'll have that's 2 races. You've decided, okay, this tin of beans is faster than this tin of tomatoes, and then you switch other people in and out. And obviously if you have more boats, you can do more switches, and you can also do this in different boats as well. So you can do it in pairs, you can do it in well, any boat apart from a single, really. Pretty much, where you can swap
Unless
people.
you're testing the boats.
Unless you're testing the boats themselves. But you can run this as many times as you like. It takes a lot of energy out of you to do the races, because you're doing them flat out, and you can do anything from so this many runs, the first baseline and then a switch, to I don't know, the entire day. And I know here in Britain, the junior trials, have you done the junior trials? How many seat races would you do at the junior trials?
They do stupid amounts.
Yeah,
like
in the teens.
8, yeah, maybe in the teens.
Yeah, and so like I've heard many stories where the juniors at Leander have been doing they did 18 races in a day, but that is absolutely outrageous. I think they shortened the distance just a little bit, and then so today for our seat racing we did not do anywhere near that, and it really depends on what the coaches want to figure out, how many athletes are involved. So if there's only 8 athletes, 8 tins of food, then you can only do so many switches. And then it just that is a big factor. And if you have 4 boats of food, then you've got a lot more options to switch. But then you can also get more data quicker, because you can do 2 swaps in a run. But that is basically how seat racing works. Tim, would you agree?
Absolutely.
Is there anything you would like to add before we finish today's video? Very interesting science experiment we've had going today.
I think you've pretty much summed it up. I'd say seat racing is a useful tool in the toolbox that coaches have, and I think some programs put a lot of emphasis on it. Other programs don't do any seat racing, they just look at combinations in training, but it's probably something that most rowers will have come across at some point in their career.
And that will be it for today's video. Let me know if you enjoyed it. If you loved Tim, let him know in the comments below. But as always, Yam Squad, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button. I think tomorrow or the next day we might be talking about tips for seat racing in general, and maybe we can get Tim involved in that for nutrition for seat racing in general. But as I said, that will be it for today's video. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Ready? Go. Nice work, Tim.